What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you a special video today because I just got back to college. I had my first day of class today, and when I got home, I kind of just wanted to hang out and not really do anything, and the best thing to do when you're doing that is watch Netflix. And I know that tons of college kids watch Netflix, really everyone watches Netflix, so I thought, why not make a list of 10 movies that you can watch on Netflix right now that are actually worth your time. Everyone knows the feeling of sitting on Netflix and scrolling through with your friends and no one can decide on what to watch. So I'm going to throw 10 suggestions your way. I'm not going to grade them. I'm just going to say all of these movies fall in the range of A+ to a B, and I'll give you a brief little plot description and maybe the stars and a little one or two little things about the movie that's good, and then you can decide whether it's for you. But these are movies that you know from me that I think are good films and that I think are worth your time when you're sitting around doing nothing. These movies are going to range from fairly well-known to pretty indie in that sense. I want to give a wide range, so there's dramas, there's comedies, there's movies that fall in the middle, and I really just want to give you guys a solid list of 10 movies that you can check out over the course of this month. And if you guys like this video, please do give it a like, and maybe I'll do this every month since Netflix always updates and adds new things and deletes old things every month. Maybe I can give you guys a 10 every month. The first movie that I want to recommend is a pretty well-known movie, that being V for Vendetta. Now, V for Vendetta is the story of a dystopian future where all, private knowledge is taken away and everything is controlled by the government, and there's this guy dressed in a Guy Fawkes mask who is fighting against this oppression. And that's really all that you have to know to get into the movie. It stars Hugo Weaving and Natalie Portman, and it's really, probably in my top 15 favorite movies of all time. I really enjoy it. If you like comic book movies, if you like action films, I would definitely recommend checking it out. The next movie is Zack and Miri Make a Porno. Now, this is a much stranger film. If you enjoyed Sausage Party, I'd say I'd recommend this movie to you. It's one of Seth Rogen's raunchier films that he's made. It's basically the story of him and his roommate, Zack and Miri, who are really down on their luck and they really need money, so they decide, why not make a porno and cast a bunch of people and then sell it for a whole bunch of money. So it's a very funny movie, and I feel like it gets forgotten about in Seth Rogen's filmography because it came out right after Superbad and right before Pineapple Express, so I feel like Pineapple Express was his breakout moment and everyone kind of forgot about this movie that came out a little bit before it. South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut goes along with the previous movie I mentioned because this is a very raunchy but animated film. This is the only movie to me that really matches Sausage Party in the animated film rated R comedy sector, and I really would recommend checking out. If you're a fan of South Park and you haven't seen this movie, definitely see it. It came out a while ago now, but it's still hilarious to this day. It has musical numbers and it's just really funny. Quentin Tarantino's directorial debut, Reservoir Dogs, is the next film because a lot of people like Quentin Tarantino. A lot of people have seen Inglourious Basterds, they've seen Django Unchained, they've seen The Hateful Eight, they've seen Kill Bill, but this is his first film. This is number one. This is the first thing he did in Hollywood, and it is probably my fourth favorite Quentin Tarantino film. It's so good. It's about a jewelry store robbery gone bad. It stars all kinds of people that have been in so many Quentin Tarantino movies, namely Steve Buscemi and Tim Roth. I would definitely check it out if you're a Tarantino fan, a fan of Scorsese, a fan of gritty mobster type films, because this is a great one. Nightcrawler, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, is the story of a man who figures out if he were to take a video camera and go to crime scenes before the police and film it, he could sell it to news stations for large sums of money. So that's what he does, but things get a little more dark as he starts to show that maybe he's not all there in the head. This movie is, in my opinion, Jake Gyllenhaal's best performance, and I will always stand by my opinion that he should have won the Oscar in 2015 for this movie. I loved Eddie Redmayne, I loved Michael Keaton, but he didn't even get nominated for the Oscar and he should have won. He is absolutely phenomenal in this film. In Bruges is the story of two hitmen who have a hit go wrong in London and are forced to go live in Bruges, which is this small town with a lot of history. It's Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. This movie is a great dark comedy. It makes you feel, and it's also absolutely hilarious. It won Colin Farrell a Golden Globe, and if you like dark comedies, I would definitely say check this movie out. This next film is definitely one on the stranger side, it's probably the strangest movie on this list. It's We Need to Talk About Kevin. It's a movie starring Tilda Swinton and Ezra Miller, and if you are excited to see Ezra Miller as the Flash, I would definitely say check this movie out so you can see what he's like in a dramatic role, to see how you feel about him playing the speedster. But overall, this is just a very dark movie that's extremely dramatic, and I think also really encapsulates grief very well. And I would say if you were a fan of something very dramatic and dark, definitely watch this movie. Galaxy Quest. Now, before everyone starts to hate because it's a Tim Allen movie, I watched this movie a lot when I was a kid, and I think to this day, this movie still holds up as being a very clever idea that has some funny moments in it. And it's probably the movie I'd rate the lowest out of all of these films, but it's funny. It's just a funny movie you can put on in the background. It's the premise of a guy who plays the captain on a show that's supposed to be like Star Trek, and they all keep going to Comic-Con and stuff after the show's been long canceled, and then it turns out that everything that they had been pretending to be was real because aliens invented it, but then they need their help and they come take them off Earth, and they go into space, and it's this big adventure, and it's really silly, but it's also funny, and it's a great movie to just put on in the background. And if you do pay attention to it, it's really clever. Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket, in my opinion, is top 5 best Vietnam movies. I don't think it's the best Vietnam film. However, I think it's also one of the few that includes boot camp, and I think that that is where Jarhead sort of gets some of its points, in my opinion, as well, because it takes this situation that everyone that's there doesn't necessarily want to be there, but they have to be, and it puts them in this situation where they are punished if one person does something wrong. So you see the stresses of that, but then later in the film you get to see them in Vietnam, and you see that they almost have a kinship with each other, and you see how they move through this horrendous conflict that happened in our history. The last film that I want to bring up in this is Hot Fuzz, which is the second film in the Cornetto trilogy, the first being Shaun of the Dead, and the last being At World's End. If you haven't seen any of these films, watch all of them. They're all great, but Hot Fuzz is my personal favorite. It's Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, just like all the other ones, and it's the story of this A-list cop from London who everyone there thinks that he's doing too good and making them all look bad, so they send him off to this little town that has no crime, and then all this crazy stuff starts to happen. It's really funny. It's very graphic, but not in like a gross way. It's just in a comedic way, and I really just think this whole movie works, and it's the best of the three. Also, in case anyone didn't know, the Cornetto trilogy isn't actually films that go in order. It's just 3 films made by the same director and same stars, and that's just what they're called, even though they have nothing, like, the story does not go together in the 3 films. They're totally separate movies. Well, guys, I hope that this list of 10 movies helps curb some of your boredom during your bored college days of laying around and not doing the homework that you should be doing. If it did, leave a like, share this video, and check out the other stuff that we make here. The last thing that I do want to mention is to check out Bo Burnham's What and Make Happy. They are 2 of the best comedy specials I've ever watched in my life, and I highly recommend them to everyone I meet, even though I know some people will watch it and think it's really stupid. I think that Bo Burnham is one of the most talented people that's out there right now. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys later.